After 25 years of nightmares, a cleaning lady's song changed everything at 3 a.m. Shocking truth. The clock struck 3, an hour when shadows grow long and whispers in the dark turn to screams. It was then, in the heart of a decaying mansion known locally as Darkmoor, that a cleaning lady named Clara found herself face to face with an extraordinary truth. For 25 long years, she'd been haunted by melodies in the dead of night, strange tunes that crept through cracked window panes and left her breathless. Tonight, she felt an unusual pull, a magnetic force tugging at her heart, urging her to sing back. The air in the dusty hallway was thick, swarming with memories, a collage of long-forgotten lives and half-told stories. Clara's hands trembled, clutching the mop as if it were a lifeline. She had heard the tales, odd sounds cascading from that ancient room at the top of the stairs. It was said to be abandoned, yet the faint sound of a woman's voice often echoed from within, lured by sorrow or perhaps despair. What if tonight, I discover what it is, she thought, the tension knotting in her stomach. As she approached the door, her heart raced like a drum. The whispering grew louder, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Was it her imagination or the ghostly song beckoning her? Her mind conjured images of a past life, a beautiful diva who had once graced stages, only to vanish into thin air. Supposedly, a tragic accident had wrapped around her haunting voice like chains, binding her to that very spot. Clara hesitated, the dark wood of the door looming ominously before her. Then, the ordinary flicker of the light above her dimmed, sending shocking chills racing up her spine. She could hear her breath, ragged and uneven, as if something ethereal stirred in the silence. The shadows transformed, dancing along the walls, and a shiver of anticipation raced through her. Could this night be different? Could it free the tormented spirit? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With a deep breath, Clara pushed the door open. A heavy whisper enveloped her, pulling her inside. Candles flickered on the walls, illuminating an empty room filled with dust and memories. Suddenly, it happened. A voice, clearer than ever, sweet yet sorrowful, floated through the air, curling around her heart. Clara felt a tightness in her chest, as if the room itself held its breath. Is this what I've been searching for? She wondered, eyes wide, breath held. As the last note of the haunting song echoed, the ground trembled under her feet. The walls seemed to bend and pulse, shifting in sync with the melody. Clara stood frozen, realizing she was no longer alone in the room. A figure emerged from the shadows, eyes glistening with unshed tears. You came. It whispered, voice like glass shattering in the silence. What was about to happen next would change everything. Clara's heart was pounding wildly now, the mystery deepening. Would she be the key to unlocking the pain of the past? Or would she, too, be ensnared in the web of Darkmoor's darkness? Clara's breath caught in her throat as the figure stepped closer, revealing a face that flickered in the flickering candlelight like a ghostly reflection. The woman's features were beautiful yet marred by sadness, her eyes deep pools of sorrow that seemed to reach out for Clara's very soul. Help me, the figure murmured, the plea heavy with a pain that echoed through the room, resonating with Clara's own haunted past. In that moment, Clara felt her world tilt. It wasn't just the whispered songs or the eerie ambience of Darkmoor, this felt personal. Every late-night melody, every shadow that had brushed past her during her solitary cleanings crystallized into one singular purpose. Who are you? Clara's voice trembled, realizing the weight of the question as it left her lips. I was once Sylvia, the figure said, her voice fragile as spun glass. I sang for the lost, but I became lost myself. The name sent a jolt through Clara's memory. Stories of Sylvia, the once famed singer whose death was shrouded in mystery, echoed in the whispers of Darkmoor. "I don't know how to break free," the spectre continued, a quiver dancing in her voice that mirrored Clara's tightening chest. The air thickened, reverberating with emotions long buried. Clara's heart raced, her instinct to help overwhelming her fear. What tortured the spirit bound to this place? "Why can't you leave?" she asked, her voice steadier now, anchored in the gravity of Sylvia's sorrow. "The song," Sylvia sighed, her ethereal form flickering with each syllable. "It was my shackles. I sang of love and despair, but in doing so, I trapped my soul. I need you to sing with me, to remember my story." Each word dripped with desperation, urging Clara towards a destiny she hadn't even imagined was possible. As Clara processed the haunting request, another wave of dread swept through the room. The lamps flickered violently, and the temperature plunged, a cold hand gripping at her heart. Clara embraced the chill, understanding that the song was both the key to liberation and a double-edged sword. What if she couldn't handle the truth revealed through the music? What if the song demanded too much from her? "I'm not a singer," Clara breathed, doubt pooling within her. "What if I fail?" "Only a heart that knows pain can awaken the melody," Sylvia implored, her transparent hand reaching out, the warmth of desperation pulsing from her fingertips. "Trust that your suffering can become our song." In that instant, Clara's life flooded back to her, the loss, the heartache, the loneliness compounded over decades. It felt preordained, a melody that had lain dormant within her, and, for the first time, she considered how it could shift the balance between despair and hope. With a steadying breath, she surprised herself as she replied, "Then let us sing." Just as Clara's voice broke through the silence, a haunting harmony intertwined with her words, resonating from the depths of Darkmoor. An ethereal power filled the room, shaking the walls as emotions cascaded. But as the music reached its peak, something sinister lurked at the edges of the melody. A shadow, darker than the night itself, began to materialize behind Sylvia. "Clara!" Sylvia shouted, the warning sharp and urgent. "You must be careful." Was this the moment that would set them both free, or were they falling deeper into the mansion's web of darkness? The question loomed as Clara felt the room plunge into chaos, the music spiraling out of control. Darkmoor was awakening, and it wasn't finished with them yet. What had she unleashed? Clara's voice soared, trembling yet powerful, echoing off the ancient walls of Darkmoor. Each note unleashed years of grief and longing, weaving Sylvia's torment into the fabric of her own pain. It felt cathartic, but also perilous. As she sang, the shadows coalesced behind Sylvia, an ominous presence rising like smoke, twisting and curling with malicious intent. The temperature plummeted further, biting at Clara's skin. She felt an almost tangible force, pulling her into the depths of the melody. "Clara!" Sylvia's voice sliced through, filled with urgency. "Stop! You don't understand." But Clara was caught in the song, her heart racing, her spirit soaring with emotions that were woven into the air around them. It was mesmerizing, yet suffocating. As the haunting refrain reverberated, the shadow behind Sylvia twisted into a more defined shape, darker, more menacing, with eyes like glowing coals. The air became thick with despair as the creature loomed closer, its form almost human yet distinctly unnatural. Clara's heart raced as she tried to resist the hypnotic pull of the song. "What is that?" she yelled, breaking off the melody for the briefest moment, a chill coursing through her. "Dread," Sylvia replied. "The song wakes at it's drawn to the pain we share. You must find the strength to overcome." With that, Sylvia's essence flickered, her face cracking with distress. Clara's breath hitched as she fought back against the spell of her own voice. That shadow was alive with hatred, fueled by the sorrow that Sylvia had once embraced to become a star. How had she not realized that the very power that beckoned could also bind? Clara stumbled backward, the floor beneath her creaking as panic surged. She wasn't just trying to help Sylvia, now she had to save herself. "You need to teach me," she shouted, tightening her fists. "What do I need to do?" "Sing. But sing your truth, not mine. Sylvia's voice grew desperate, punctuated with fear as the dark entity advanced further, pushing past the shimmering veil that connected them. It loomed like a storm cloud about to unleash its fury. Heart pounding, Clara inhaled deeply, grounding herself. Memories blitzed through her mind, her mother's lullabies from a faded childhood, the loss of her husband, the echo of whispered regrets over sleepless nights. Real pain forged in reality. She was ready to separate her voice from Sylvia's, ready to emerge as her own singer. With a trembling breath, Clara began anew, her voice raw and unrestrained, cutting through the spectral chaos that had taken hold of the room. She sang of loss and hope, the lines of her life merging into a melody of resilience. The creature hesitated, momentarily faltering as Clara's notes filled the air, a force of will breaking encroaching darkness. But it rallied quickly, screeching in response, filling the room with a cacophony of rage. "Clara, keep going," Sylvia urged, her ethereal form flickering with every note emitted. Clara's resolve hardened, the lyrics flowing from her soul fierce and unyielding. She focused on a surge of warmth, filling herself with courage from the depths of despair. The shadow lurked, growing restless, but Clara's song pushed back, igniting a fierce light within the darkness. Then, just as hope began to shimmer, an agonizing howl ripped through the chaos, both beautiful and horrendous, shaking the very foundation of Darkmoor. A cold chill swept through Clara, an icy terror that stripped away her warmth. In that moment, she understood, the song was more than a way to free Sylvia, it was an invitation to face her own demons. And as the specter of Sylvia's past began to swirl aggressively around her, the room shook violently, dark and light warping together in a dizzying dance of chaos. "Do you dare to find your truth?" The chilling whisper of the shadow echoed, vibrating through the air and seeping into Clara's bones. Fear clawed at her, but something deeper urged her on. What would she uncover in these final notes? Would she conquer her fears and unleash freedom, or become consumed by the darkness that haunted Darkmoor? With her heart pounding louder than the shadow's cries, she prepared to sing for her life. What new truth lay in wait for Clara on the edge of that precipice, just as the final crescendo began? The echo of that anguished howl hung in the air like a specter, heavy and oppressive. Clara could feel every fiber of her being tremble, as if the very walls of Darkmoor were alive, groaning in response to the hybrid of darkness and light swirling around her. "Sing!" Sylvia's voice surged, piercing through the cacophony with a sense of urgency that ignited a flicker of hope within Clara. Each note she had sung before had been a tether connecting past to present, hurt to healing. But this was different. She was teetering on the edge of a chasm, one that threatened to swallow her whole as dread emerged like a vengeful tide, shaking off the chill creeping into her bones. Clara focused on Sylvia's essence. It flickered like a flame in the wind, teetering, on the brink of being extinguished. What was her truth? What could she possibly offer to fight such darkness? With a deep breath, she grasped at the threads of memories that anchored her. She thought of the laughter of children at the park, the warmth of her father's embrace. But then her thoughts swerved to the grim shadows of loss, the moment she lost her husband, the days following that unfathomable silence. "Clara, you have the strength to face this." Sylvia's ethereal scream echoed through the chaos, pushing Clara to the brink of revelation. The creature in the shadows writhed, its form oscillating between a nightmarish darkness and the faint glow of light from Clara's voice. Clara's heart pumped hard as she conjured up the feelings she had run from. Bare and raw, they served as fuel. Her decision crystallized in that heartbeat. With renewed determination, Clara began to sing, her voice less focused on the melody and more on a primal scream of reality, a crescendo of everything she had endured, every tear she had shed. "Haunt me not, shadows of the past," she sang, the words resonating deep within her cavernous chest. "For I am not the girl you knew, I am more." The shadow writhed, screeching, its fury crescendoing as it recoiled at Clara's defiance. It loomed larger, furious and threatening, claws of darkness lashing out. But Clara pushed past the fear. "I am darkness, but I am light. Broken, yet alive." The air shimmered around her, warping in response to her raw truth. Each note poured from her lungs, reverberating through the stone of Darkmoor. Clara felt the shadows falter. The more she sang of her resilience, the weaker it became. An electric thrill surged through her as if she could almost grasp the light outlining her fragile form. But just then, a dark tendril shot forward, latching onto her ankle like a snake, dragging her down. Panic gripped Clara. The assembly of memories she'd summoned swirled away, and she could sense the shadows rallying. Clara! Sylvia's scream echoed through the turmoil, the urgency almost palpable. In that moment of peril, Clara felt her heart clench, and a desperate resolve kindled within her. With every ounce of will, she belted out the last of her melody. I will rise from you. I won't give in. The creature screamed in defiance, a sound so horrid and full of rage that Clara felt it rattle her bones. As the ground shook beneath her, she fought against the grip pulling her back. Fight! Sylvia urged, her brilliance dimming as the dark entity's scream reached a deafening peak, but Clara stood unfazed, summoning the echoes of her past, the strength of a woman unwilling to back down any longer. With every word, she expelled the darkness seeping into her soul. Would it be enough? The world trembled around her, but she wouldn't relent. As the final note trembled off her lips, she felt a surreal stillness wash over the room, an electrifying silence both haunting and hopeful. Then, a piercing scream shot through the air, punctuating the tranquility like a bullet. Clara! The voice was familiar, but twisted, a warning hidden in a tortured cry. And then the room erupted into chaos, swirling shadows erupting with thunderous anger. What had she unleashed? What stood waiting in the void? As she plummeted into the unknown, Clara couldn't shake the questions clawing at her mind. What lay beyond the silence? What truths had she just stepped into? The shadows twisted around her, curling and snarling as Clara hurtled deeper into their abyss. Every instinct screamed for her to fight back, but the weight of despair threatened to crush her lungs. She had learned to face the dark, but this felt like being swallowed whole by an ancient terror. Sylvia's light flickered, a distant star battling against a storm. Trust your voice. The spirit cried, desperation raging in her tone. Clara clutched her head, trying to ward off the chaos that whirled around her, a cacophony of whispered fears and haunting memories that danced at the edge of her consciousness, beckoning her into darkness. Then everything changed. A surge of energy coursed through her, remnants of that final note she had sung. It felt like a jolt of electricity, igniting muscles frozen in dread. Clara struggled against the hand of darkness tightening its grip. She could not let it take her again. In that moment, she recalled the faces of the children, the soft laughter echoing across endless summer days. The warmth of love lingered, strength born from loss. Her heart began to hammer as she focused on those melodies, haunting yet hopeful. Your power is in your truth. Sylvia yelled, her voice echoing like a bell tolling in a silent church. Clara's heart raced, and she opened her mouth. The words leaped forth, trembling but fierce. I will not be forgotten. I stand for those who cannot. As if spurred by her defiance, the shadows recoiled for a fleeting moment. Clara felt it, a crack in the overwhelming darkness. Could it be? Yet their fury swelled instantly, pressing down on her like a weight of despair that made even breathing a challenge. Out of the chaos, a vision danced before her eyes, a flash of light bridging the gulf between worlds. Darkmoor was alive, its stones had witnessed love and longing for centuries. Clara's surroundings blurred, and in that instant, she saw it. The darkness was born from memories entangled with pain, a twisted reflection of her own grief. Face me! Clara shouted, her voice now rising, reverberating off the walls like a thunderclap. You are not my master. The shadows writhed in response, shaking with fury. Clara felt their malice soaking into her, seeking to drown her in despair. But in defiance, she embraced her fear. Rather than cower, she poured every ounce of strength into her voice, pushing back with raw power that resonated deep within her core. It's time to rise. Clara cried, releasing every buried sorrow and fear into her song, and suddenly the shadows screamed a horrible, inhuman sound that made her skin prickle. With each note, the darkness sizzled and flared, sputtering as Clara's voice cut through its misty shroud. The walls of Darkmoor murmured in response, glowing faintly as if answering a long-forgotten call. But just as hope sparked within her, she recognized yet another danger. Tendrils slithered from the distance, beckoning with hypnotic whispers. They promised solace, an end to pain if she would just surrender. Clara's resolve trembled, teetering on the edge of surrender, as the very essence of her memories surged to the forefront. "Remember who you are!" Sylvia screamed, urgency blending with desperation in her tone. With renewed strength, Clara pushed against the beckoning shadows and unleashed a final, powerful note, one that shattered the unbearable silence. It filled the darkness and spilled over, carving a path into the light. The abyss screamed and quaked, but Clara held firm, the echoes of her heart spurring her on. "I am more than this. I am whole." As the rushing tide of darkness bent and buckled, a blinding flash erupted. Clara shielded her eyes, awash in brilliant light that pierced through the shadows. Then, amidst the chaos, a figure emerged from the brilliance. Could it be? Clara's breath hitched. Who stood before her, silhouetted against the shimmering glow? The figure took a step forward, face obscured in luminescence. And then she heard it. "Clara, you've come so far." A rush of fear washed over her. Who was this voice that felt like a distant echo from her past? What were the shadows hiding? As she blinked against the blinding light, a thrilling question churned in her mind. How far was she willing to go to uncover the truth that awaited her? Clara squinted against the blinding light, her heart racing. The voice, familiar yet unsettling, wrapped around her like a ghost from a bygone era. She tried to step closer, but the shadows still flickered at the edges, hungry for a moment of vulnerability. "Who are you?" Clara managed to ask, the words barely escaping through her tight throat. The figure took another step, slowly becoming more defined. A cascade of shimmering light fell away, revealing the sharp features of a woman she recognized. It was her mother, her face framed by a halo of pure brilliance, lips curling into a heartbreaking smile. "You never forgot me, did you?" her mother said softly. The warmth of those words settled over Clara like a comforting blanket, though the lingering shadows threatened to snuff out the light. "But how?" Clara stammered, grappling with the reality of the moment. "I thought you were gone." "Yes. But the bond we share transcends even this darkness." Her mother's voice resonated, piercing the veil of despair lingering around them. "You can't let it define you, Clara. Break free." The shadows around Clara writhed violently, howling in protest, trying to snatch away the fragile thread of connection. They clawed at her mind, dredging up memories of pain and loss, an inferno of despair that threatened to swallow her whole again. "No!" Clara shouted, gripping the ground beneath her. The pain of past memories unleashed back into her mind was unbearable, yet there was a flicker of resolve igniting within her. She wouldn't let them win. "Your voice is your light, Clara. Use it." Her mother urged, the urgency in her tone urging Clara to remember her power. Taking a deep breath, Clara focused on the shimmering memory of her mother and the love they had shared. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about everyone who had fought against the darkness, about the children who deserved a good ending. She had spent too long trapped in pain. It was time to rebuild. With every ounce of strength, Clara brought forth the truth of her spirit, letting it swell within her. "You don't control me," she shouted. The shadows snarled, trying to drown her cries with their chaos, but Clara's voice rose higher, stronger. "I am not afraid of you. I will sing my story. I am my mother's daughter, and I will shine." As she sang, the darkness crumbled at the edges, light pouring from her heart in vibrant waves, pushing the shadows back like approaching clouds caught in a fierce storm. Her voice wove through the chaos, a melody of hope that echoed against the very stones of Darkmoor, and with every note, she felt her mother's spirit meld with her own, filling her with fierce warmth. But as the light surged, Clara caught a glimpse of a darker shadow lurking behind the glimmering figure of her mother. A presence that felt cold and malevolent grinned just beyond the boundary of illumination, feeding off the raw emotion permeating the air. Clara. Her mother's voice broke through the noise. There's more, you must remember what we hid. Confusion crashed over Clara, but before she could voice her question, the air shifted. The shadows recoiled, but a new sound filled the air, grating and unnatural. It vibrated through her bones, shaking her conviction, making her heart race wildly. Run! Her mother cried, but there was nowhere to escape when the shadows were always creeping. Suddenly, the presence surged forward, immense and suffocating. Clara's breath caught in her throat. As darkness encroached once more, she felt her mother slip away, fading back into the radiant light. Fight, Clara! You must fight! The chilling sound of laughter echoed, reverberating through the cracks forming in the light. The shadows were closing in again, but Clara's spirit flared. She refused to let the darkness consume her. What truth lay hidden beneath that icy laughter? Clara clenched her fists, prepared to confront whatever nightmare awaited her. How could she uncover the secrets hidden in the shadows before they swallowed her once more? The moment hung suspended, teetering on the brink of revelation. Clara's heart thundered against her ribs, a wild drumbeat urging her to push beyond the fear that threatened to choke her. The darkness loomed, rippling like cold water, coaxing at her resolve. She felt the air tighten around her throat, heavy with dread. But she had felt her mother's love, she wasn't alone. Fight! Clara bellowed, her voice cutting through the despair like a knife. I won't be afraid. The shadows recoiled, writhing as if stung, but that sinister laughter echoed back, mocking her. It reverberated through the air, sending chills spiraling down her spine. Who or what was laughing? A new specter emerged from the chaos, swirling closer to her, dark and sleek like an oil spill on water. Clara, it crooned, its voice dripping with malice. There was a twisted glee in the way it pronounced her name, slippery and laced with venom. Did you really think you could escape? She didn't want to look, but curiosity pricked at her. With trembling resolve, she forced her gaze upon the apparition. The face twisted into something grotesque, shadows stretched over features that were almost human but not quite, eyes glinting with hunger. Show me your secrets! Clara cried, hope burning in her chest like a flame flickering against the night. You think you can scare me with your shadows? The laughter echoed again, a chilling sound that scraped against her nerves. Oh, Clara, it's not about fear. It's about what you're hiding from yourself. A tremor cracked through her confidence. The shadows stirred, whispering long-buried memories, flickering like old film. She saw her childhood, the laughter, the love, but also the pain, the loss that haunted every corner. Do you see? The figure leaned closer, its voice a jagged whisper. You can't outrun the truth. You must embrace it or it will consume you. No! Clara screamed, her voice raw and thick with emotion. Tears stung her eyes, blurring the monster's features. I won't fall for your tricks. But the shadows twisted tighter, suffocating, and for a moment, Clara faltered. What truth had she buried? The warmth of her mother's light flickered, a dying fire against a heavy tempest. Clara, her mother's voice echoed faintly amid the chaos. Remember who you are. Find the light inside. Digging deep, Clara gritted her teeth. She recalled the warmth of her mother's embrace, the sweet songs they shared, how they spun dreams of hope together. The past was not simply pain, it was woven with resilience and love. I am more than my fears. Clara shouted, her voice reigniting with a fierce determination. The shadows recoiled, hissing in protest. With each word she spoke, Clara felt more anchored, grounded in her truth. No more lies, no more shadows. I will not let you control me. Light burst forth from her, a radiant beam illuminating the darkness. Clara's voice became a weapon, sharp and true, cutting through their despair. She didn't just sing, she unleashed everything she had kept inside, every tear, every memory, every hope. But just as the last vestiges of shadows shrank, the laughter morphed, twisting into rage. "Do you think it's over?" The dark figure snarled, its eyes narrowing. "You've only seen a glimpse. The real nightmare is yet to come." Before Clara could respond, the world trembled around her, and an icy wind swept through, snatching her breath. The light wavered, and she felt the darkness pushing back, relentless, alive. What had she awakened? The laughter lingered, echoing through the void, a promise of new horrors waiting just beneath the surface. Was this just the beginning of a deeper journey into her own soul? Clara stood ready, battling darkness, but a chilling realization seeped into her bones. The true fight was not just against the shadows, it was against herself. What did she still have hidden within her? The ground shook, and the shadows swirled ominously. Clara took a deep breath, steadying herself for whatever came next. Could she withstand the heart-wrenching truth of her past, and would it lead her toward a brighter future or seal her fate forever? As the shadows swirled, engulfing Clara in a cloak of dread, the laughter echoed around her like the distant clang of a bell tolling ominously. She felt the chill seeping through her skin, unable to shake the feeling that something primal was awakening within the depths of her darkness. "Embrace the shadows, Clara." The figure whispered, a taunting promise wrapped in a chilling embrace. "They know you better than you know yourself." She felt a shudder run through her, memories bursting forward, jagged pieces of a puzzle she had hidden away. Images flashed, her childhood home drowned in echoes of anger, her father's desolate gaze after each explosion of rage. How had she thought she could escape it? No. Clara shook her head, trying to push back the memories, but they ground against her, relentless. "You're wrong. I can face this." "Is that so?" The creature's grin widened, stretching unnaturally. "Face what?" The little girl who never felt enough. The dreams that slipped through her fingers like sand. Or are you ready to confront the truth about the one who abandoned you? The laughter cascaded around her, crashing like waves, forcing her to clutch her head as if she could block out the sound. Clara felt the ground shift beneath her, the fabric of her reality tearing. Was this a mere illusion? A trick played by a mind long in pain? "Let it in," it hissed, circling closer, its dark form glimmering like oil on water. "You are not alone in this battle, you have buried it deep. And now, dear Clara, it's time to unearth it." The tremors underfoot grew stronger, and the light she summoned flickered, dimming like a tired candle. But deep inside, there was a flickering flame reminding her of every time she had faced fear, a whisper her mother left behind like a guiding star. "Do not forget your light," she whispered to herself. "You are not just the fear, you are the strength. You've faced worse." Clara steeled herself, the shadows writhed but did not retreat. With a determined shout, she grasped the memories of her mother, the love woven within them. "I am my mother's daughter," she declared, her voice now sharp and clear. "I won't let you twist my heart into sorrow." Suddenly, a blinding light surged from her, the spectre retreating slightly, its confident facade cracking. But the suffocating shadows clawed at her, threatening to smother her spirit. "Once the truth is out, it cannot be locked away again," the figure sneered, its voice seething with malice. "Are you prepared for the storm it will unleash?" Clara's chest tightened. What storm? What unshackled truth lay waiting to be unleashed? Panic prickled at the edges of her resolve as shadows flickered with images of heartache that felt all too real, but as the memories clawed at her, Clara pushed back, digging deeper. Reflections of laughter mixed with tears, voices of reassurance wrapped around her. The warmth of her mother's love shielded her like armor. "Face it," she whispered defiantly. "Face the storm." Just then, the ground beneath her trembled violently, the winds whipping fiercely as shadows twisted, distorting into phantoms of her past. Clara felt a deep pulse emanating from the heart of the darkness, a heartbeat synchronizing with her own. The connection surged, unveiling truths she had buried for years. But before she could grasp it fully, the world around her shattered. "Clara! The dark figure cried out as the shadows shattered and flew into a million glimmering shards, swirling toward the sky. You think you are a warrior? Darkness cannot be defeated so easily. As colors burst around her, Clara felt her heart racing, the world spinning out of control. The remnants of her past and shadows clashed violently in a whirlpool of emotions, threatening to consume her entirely. Would she find the strength to piece herself back together? Would she face the echoes of her childhood or succumb to the chaotic shadows demanding her surrender? With swirling colors merging and splintering all around her, Clara grasped tighter onto her mother's love, ready to confront the whirlwind of secrets. But just as she felt herself being pulled into the heart of the storm, a voice echoed through the chaos. The true terror comes now, Clara, when you discover what's within and who's truly behind these shadows. A chill ran down her spine, and her resolve teetered. Who was controlling this nightmare? What awaited her on the other side of this darkness? Clara braced herself, ready to fight, but fear prickled down her neck, whispering a question she dared not ask. What if the darkness was only a reflection of her own soul? Clara felt the ground collapse beneath her feet, the vibrant colors dissolving into a vast, gray expanse. The pulsating shadows twisted closer, malevolent forms coiling around her, tightening their grip. Her heart raced against the backdrop of silence, the only sound her erratic breaths as if caught in the clutches of a predator. Face the truth, Clara. The figure snickered, its voice dripping with mockery. It's time to pull back the curtain. The air thickened with an electric charge, an anticipation that clawed at her resolve. What truths awaited her? What had been hidden for so long? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. She had been running from these shadows. Now, they had her cornered, drawing on every ounce of her mother's love. Clara summoned her courage. You don't own me, she shouted, her voice cutting through the chamber of shadows. You are just echoes of my past. A momentary lull enveloped the scene. The shadows recoiled, momentarily taken aback by her defiance. Clara's heart pounded, her spirit ignited with a flicker of hope. But deep within her, uncertainty festered. What if she was wrong about herself? What if she held the darkness inside? This haunting inner struggle spiraled into a tempest, the gray air around her twisting into shapes and figures. Familiar faces emerged and faded like ghosts, her father's tortured visage, the disappointment etched in her mother's eyes, her childhood friends who had turned away. Each face whispered accusations, twisting memories into daggers aimed at her heart. No! Clara screamed. You don't define me. I am more than my failures. With each assertion, the shadows recoiled as if she were wielding a sword of light. Yet, their laughter rang out like sirens, beckoning her to surrender, to bask in the familiarity of despair. Tell me, Clara, the figure taunted, slithering closer. Are you prepared to see the darkness that dwells within? To acknowledge the anger, the pain, the sadness? She felt the specters wrapping around her, squeezing tight, forcing her to confront the truth she had buried deep. The storm raged, flickering images swirling a reflection of her insecurities, the moments she let herself down, the countless nights spent crying alone, but in the heart of it all, a tiny ember sparked the heart of her mother's song. Clara's mind echoed the melody, a lullaby that spoke of love and resilience, of strength hiding within fragility. The warmth spread through her, igniting the courage she thought lost. I am not my wounds, Clara declared fiercely. I am the survivor. I refuse to drown. The shadows recoiled, the laughter faltering as she embraced her past instead of succumbing to it. Diving deep into the storm, she embraced her fears, drawing them in as if to share a final dance. Clara felt the storm's intensity shift, as if the darkness had begun to unravel, but just then, through the chaos, a shocking realization ripped through her. The darkness is not just mine to bear. A haunting voice emerged from the depths of the shadows. Oh, but Clara, you're not alone. They're all waiting for you. Her heart plummeted. Who were they? What did it mean? Clara quaked as images of others she had lost flashed before her. Friends, family, all ensnared in the same struggle she fought, fear gripped her, tightening like a noose around her throat. She had spent her life battling her demons, yet here lay a truth that chiseled through her defenses. The shadows were a collective darkness, a wound shared not just by her, but by all. Clara's breath hitched. Was she ready to confront the truths of those around her? To embrace the weight of others' suffering along with her own? As the shadows closed in again, a swirling vortex of unspoken fears and hidden pains surrounding her, Clara took a deep breath. "I'll face it. Together." But the shadows shushed her shouts with a deafening roar that echoed through the void, obscuring her voice amid the chaos. What lay ahead was still veiled in darkness, but Clara knew one thing: she could no longer fight alone. The true battle was just beginning, and it demanded the strength of many. Would she gather the courage to unite with those tethered to her fate, or risk being swallowed whole by the very darkness she sought to conquer? As the shadows shrieked in laughter, Clara pushed through, ready to face the next wave of despair, with hope flickering faintly ahead. Clara felt the crushing weight of despair pressing down on her, filling the darkness with echoes of frozen memories. She was not standing alone in this battle. The shadows whispered the names of the lost. The faces of friends and family flickered in and out before her, each a reminder of the pain and isolation that had haunted her for so long. But she was ready to face it. She had to be together. Echoing her declaration, Clara reached out into the shadows, hoping to connect with the souls that shared her anguish. "I won't face it alone." In that moment, something shifted. The darkness hesitated, a shiver of uncertainty running through its jagged form. Clara realized it wasn't just her pain she carried, but a tapestry woven with those she loved. It was a community of heartache, and together they could be powerful. With renewed fervor, Clara began to sing again, this time a chorus of fortitude rather than solitary sorrow. The melody was lighter, infused with the spirit of those she called upon. "I see you," she sang, pouring her heart into the verses that acknowledged not just her scars, but those of her family, her friends, and even strangers bound by sadness. Miraculously, as each note resonated, familiar figures stepped from the shadows, faces brightening in the warm glow of her song. They were her mother, her father, friends she had lost touch with, ghosts emerging from darkness into light, affirming their presence. They raised their voices with hers, powerful harmonies emerging in defiance of their fears. No longer alone. They sang in unison, and Clara felt their collective strength wash over her, like a wave breaking against the shore. The dark figure lurched back, a shriek of outrage slicing through the air. "No! You cannot unite!" it howled, but Clara's uplifted spirit carved through its words. Clarity washed over her. The shadows were not mere torment, they were reflections, chilling reminders of her past. They thrived on isolation, but together they could break that hold. "Look around," Clara urged, her voice rising. "We are not weak. We are filled with love, resilience. Our voices carry power." Suddenly, Darkmoor began to vibrate, the walls tremored, and shadows writhed in agitation. The figure faltered, uncertain as the brightness of their collective song burst forth. Light streamed in from every direction, breaking through the oppressive grayness. Clara discovered she was no longer frightened. The shadows had met their match. As the air swelled with music, the monstrous face fragmented, replaced by flickering images of the past, laughter, joy, warmth. Clara's heart soared amidst the chaos swirling around them. The dark figure screeched again, desperately attempting to remain, but the collective light began to tear the darkness apart. "Your reign ends here," Clara declared, embracing the courage that spread like wildfire through her. Together, they unleashed a final chorus, a brilliant wave of defiance merging their souls in a single, fierce connection. Clara felt every note vibrate through her, dancing around her as if the house itself responded to their energy. The tendrils of darkness began to dissipate, swirling away like smoke in the wind, howling in defeat. As the last remnants of shadow faded, a serene calm washed over Clara. The room glowed, enveloping her in warmth, and she felt a sense of closure. They defaced not just the darkness of this place but the shadows that had lingered in her mind for years. She knew that healing would take time, but this collective liberation marked a powerful turning point. Clara turned to the faces that had emerged with her, a soft smile etched across her lips. "Thank you for not letting me slip away," she whispered, and an embrace of warmth surrounded her. Each moment they had shared, every struggle they contained, intertwined like threads woven into a strong fabric of existence. The mansion swayed gently, its malevolent grip broken. Dartmoor was no longer haunted, it had transformed into a sanctuary for healing, where stories would be shared to breathe life into the corners that once echoed despair. The shadows shifted into the background, becoming reminders of the strength they had gained. Clara took a deep breath, feeling a weight lifted. "I am a singer," she exclaimed with newfound certainty. "Our truth will echo through these walls forever." As the sun began to rise outside, casting light across the garden, she held on to the hope that now painted her life. Together, they would rewrite the narrative of loss into one of connection, turning pain into resilience. With one last glance back at Dartmoor, Clara stepped forward into the light, ready for whatever awaited her future. Now you have a choice to make. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes going. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this incredible ending. And please, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. It's time to support the channel and keep these stories coming.